Welcome to Anthropology 101, Primates, People, and Prehistory. This is our first day introduction to the course. I'll ask two questions today. What is anthropology? And what does this course cover? Let's begin with what the course covers. Basically, we look at the biological and cultural origins of humans using the scientific method. Hopefully, you'll learn some facts along the way. For example, we have not always been alone. In past times, more than one kind of human used to live at the same time. Hopefully, you'll also learn how to think scientifically, which will allow you to evaluate news reports you hear in the future. This course is one of the two prerequisite courses for anthropology majors at the University of South Carolina, and is considered to be a Carolina Core GSS course. I'll start talking about the course content. This first section, 5 weeks, I call Toolbox. We cover what is anthropology, we look at mechanisms of change in the world, examine what is a primate, learn about basic genetics, learn about how we know how old something is, and find out about archaeological recovery techniques. This course supplies a lot of vocabulary that is used throughout the rest of the semester. In Part 2, Human Beginnings, which lasts for 4.5 weeks, we find out what we can learn from bones before talking about the earliest primates and bipedalism. We move on to looking at the fossil record of the earliest all the way up to the modern humans. We examine when we can see evidence for tools, language, clothing, and big brains. And we end with looking at the spread of humans across the globe. In the third and final part of the course, Human Cultural Variation, which lasts for 4 weeks, we look at human physical variation, race, the beginnings of art and symbolism, settling down and domestication, the rise of civilizations, and early civilizations in both the Old World and the New World. So what is anthropology? Well, it's the holistic and integrative scientific study of humans. Anthropologists explore human diversity in space and across time. Anthropology is a holistic, comparative, interdisciplinary, and cross-cultural field of study. Anthropology has 4 major subfields of study. Cultural anthropology, the study of cultural behavior. Linguistic anthropology, which is the study of verbal and nonverbal communication. At the University of South Carolina, Anthropology 102 introduces these 2 subfields. Archaeology is a study of cultural behavior through material remains. Biological anthropology is the study of humans and their closest relatives as biological species. And this course introduces these 2 subfields. Within biological anthropology, we find different sorts of specialists, such as paleoanthropologists, who focus on the study of past humans through fossil remains, and primatologists, who focus on study of our closest relatives, non-human primates. Archaeologists may study pre-colonial societies, that is, those before written records, and they may study historic societies, those with written records. All archaeologists specialize in a part of the world, a time period, a theoretical approach, and subject matter. Anthropologists follow a professional code of ethics. Our code outlines our responsibilities to the people, animals, and artifacts with which we work, as well as to our students and our profession. For example, if our research is likely to harm the people we study, we think that we should not do that research. In this course, we will be using the scientific method. This is a process by which phenomena are explained through observation and posing and testing hypotheses. What is a hypothesis? Well, it's a tentative but testable explanation of relationships between certain phenomena or variables. Whereas a theory is a system of validated hypotheses that explains phenomena systematically. The learning outcomes for this course include a long list that is supplied on your syllabus, but the objectives that we'll address today include describe the field of anthropology and apply the scientific method. Basically, this course asks, what makes us human? During this course, we'll ask some big questions. We won't always have the answers. When do humans become human? Where? What distinguishes humans from other primates? How are humans and primates alike? How can I evaluate evidence for human evolution? What were interactions like between the different types of humans that lived at the same time? When do we see evidence for language, clothing, religion? When and how did humans arrive in Australia and in the Americas? Your first possibility for extra credit is this coming week when I ask you to list for me 5 things that you personally think makes us human. What sets humans apart from other species or life forms? This extra credit answers are due on August 26 by 6 p.m. I'll then take everybody's answers and we can together throughout the semester examine, are these the characteristics we should be looking for to define the first humans? Are all these characteristics easy to see in the fossil or archaeological record? Or which sorts of characteristics might be easiest to see or the best preserved or observable? We're going to begin this first third of the semester by learning about mechanisms of change in the world. Then we'll move on to talking about primates, looking at both physical and behavioral characteristics. We'll look at the characteristics that primates share with other mammals and the characteristics that define them as primates separate from other mammals, and looking at how similar or different humans are from other primates. And I'll answer the question, why do anthropologists study non-human primate behavior? Then we'll move on to cover basic genetics in order to understand why all humans don't look the same, and why do populations change genetically through time? In other words, why do they evolve? We'll end the introductory first third of the semester learning about dating techniques and archaeological methods. How can we tell how old something is? How is evidence for evolution or for human culture recovered? Once we learn the basic vocabulary and concepts, in part 2 of the course, we'll look at the fossil record that leads to present-day humans. Here are some snapshots through time of early humans. In the last third of the course, we look at modern human spread and cultural development. What physical variations do we see across space? What are human races? How and when did people get to the farthest reaches of the world? How and why did people change their types of societies and how they obtained their food? How did domestication come about? What marks early civilizations? And when did humans begin to act human? This is a very fast-paced course. Remember, print the vocabulary list for part 1 and fill in any definitions that you learn each day in class. Knowing the vocabulary supplies many of the answers on the tests.